Hey guys, in this month's top 5, I'm going to be sharing with you books that need to be made into TV series. So, with the rise of streaming platforms, let's say, there's been kind of this huge resurgence and popularity of adapting books into multi-part TV series. If not multi-part TV series, like multiple seasons, at least like one season that's maybe like 6 to 10 episodes or so, kind of like a mini season. So yeah, things like Hulu, Netflix, Amazon, even on other networks like FX or something, AMC, there's definitely been like a popularity of adapting, novels and graphic novels and turning them into these big TV series and whatnot. So yeah, that's primarily what this video is. Me wanting and wishing for these 5 particular books to be turned into TV series or mini-series at the least. And yeah, I did. I managed to find 5. Because yeah, there's so many that are currently in production. For instance, his Dark Materials. His Dark Materials is in production right now. That's coming out, I think, at the end of the year. Even something like Lord of the Rings, because they're doing like, I think it's Netflix, or is it Amazon? No, it's Amazon. Amazon is doing some sort of like a Lord of the Rings prequel, so yeah, there's so many things coming out. It seems like just about every damn book that comes out, it's getting turned into a TV series. Because it seems like that's the popular thing to do now, rather than doing movie adaptations. Because, that's the problem with a movie adaptation. The problem with a movie adaptation is that a movie is only so long. Most movies are only about 2 to 2.5, 3 at the most. And especially if you're doing a big, huge, long book, I mean, that's not enough time to do a proper adaptation of a book. And yeah, some of the most successful TV shows on the air currently are book adaptations, essentially. And yeah, they're so successful because they're doing the books properly for the most part, and they're remaining rather faithful, the majority of them anyway. And yeah, I love, those are some of my favorite shows, quite honestly. I love things like Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead, even something like Preacher, A Series of Unfortunate Events, I love things like that. So yeah, I managed to find 5 books in particular that I think, it's time for a miniseries or a TV adaptation, put it on something like Amazon, Netflix, Hulu, FX, AMC, whatever, where you're one of those channels where you can be a bit more risky or controversial or whatever, The first book that I have here is The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. And this might be a peculiar one, you may be thinking. I don't intend, like my dream adaptation of The Scarlet Letter, I don't particularly imagine them doing like a multi-season show for this. Do just one season. So, like how they did Elias Grace by Margaret Atwood. I loved Elias Grace. That was an amazing adaptation of that particular book. And I feel like The Scarlet Letter could definitely benefit from something like that. Something that is maybe 6 to 8 episodes. Something like that. If you don't know what The Scarlet Letter is about, it takes place kind of like in the Puritan era, in early America and whatnot, and it follows this woman named Hester Prynne, and she's forced to wear the letter A on her bodice to represent adultery, essentially. And she has had an affair with a man outside of her marriage, and she's also had a child outside of her marriage. So yeah, it's a big scandal with her with this letter A on her bodice and whatnot. And it makes her an outsider. And it is, strangely enough, even though this book was written by a man, there's definitely these really big feminist themes and ideas in it. It's like I said, it's just weird. It's just really weird because this was written by a man, but it's like he was very modern almost, because he's condemning kind of the Puritan era in a sense. Like, you're condemning this woman because of how she is. The Puritans were basically slut-shaming Hester Prynne, if you want to think about it that way. So yeah, I think the Scarlet Letter would definitely benefit from a modern TV series or TV adaptation. There has been adaptations of the Scarlet Letter in the past. Back in the early 90s, I want to say, there was a version with Demi Moore and Gary Oldman. I personally did not like that movie. I thought it was kind of horrible. I thought it was kind of horrible, and I thought it just strayed far too much away from the book. And then there was also a mini-series, I think released in maybe the 80s or 90s, and I happened to watch that when I was in high school, and that miniseries was actually pretty good, but at the same time it was a little dated. And, you know, especially with how our modern society is now, just everything with women and feminism, just how everything is, you know, if you've been watching the news and whatnot, and this book, it just seems like this is a perfect time to retell this particular story, because this story it's essentially a slut-shaming story in a sense. You know, the Puritans being terribly cruel to this woman for having an affair and having a child, you know. And I think I think it's time, you know, I think it's time for a new, modern, updated adaptation of this story, because it's a story it can't get old, you know, that's the sad thing. It's a story that will never be old. You can always update it every 10 years. At number 4, I have the Percy Jackson series by Rick Riordan. As we know, the Percy Jackson series was made into two movies? Or was it 3 movies? How many of these books got made? Was it 2 or 3? I can't remember how many movies we got. Either way, the movies were not well received. Me, personally, I was fine with the movies. I know a lot of other people hated and despised the movies. Even Rick Riordan himself hated the movies. For me, I liked them. They were fine. There was nothing personally wrong with them to me. But I can definitely see the need to do a new version of the Percy Jackson series. And I think the best way to do Percy Jackson is through a TV series, not a movie series. I think the movie series is just the wrong way to go. Just don't do any more. Do a TV series. You can get into the characters more, you can get into the world building more, and you can really just follow closely in line with the book series, I suppose. So yeah, The Lightning Thief. This is the first book by Rick Riordan. If you don't know what the Percy Jackson series is about, it's about what is he, a preteen? I guess he's a preteen boy. His name's Percy Jackson. He finds out that his father is a god. His father is the god Zeus from Greek mythology. And, yeah, Percy has the power of, like, oh no, sorry, I'm getting that completely wrong, you guys. His father is not Zeus, his father is Poseidon. Wow, everyone watching this video is probably already in the comments going, his father is Poseidon, not Zeus. Sorry about that, you guys. His father is Poseidon, the god of the sea. That's right. And Percy, yeah, his big thing is, he can manipulate water, you know, he can breathe underwater. I think he can even communicate with fish, maybe? I want to say, I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've read this book, you guys. But yeah, this would be a great series for kids and preteens, even adults. Yeah, Netflix, they just finished up a series of unfortunate events, so the Percy Jackson series would be a great, you know, new addition, you know, for kids, you know, to replace a series of unfortunate events now that it's over. At number 3, I have this Duology by Alison Pataki. The first book in this particular series is The Accidental Empress, and then the second book in the series is called Stacie, Empress on Her Own. And this is what I imagine for this particular series. These 2 books, they are historical fiction, and they're about this young woman. She's a young woman here. She's like 15 at the start of this book, and the second book, you know, kind of goes through her midlife until she's a bit older and whatnot. This series is about Elizabeth, who she marries into the Austrian-Hungarian Empire. She marries Franz Joseph of Austria-Hungary, and you know, I love historical fiction. Okay, let's get that out of the way. I love historical fiction. I always love anything with princesses, kings, queens, monarchs, whatever. And yeah, this particular duology by Alison Pataki, I freaking love these 2 books. Yeah, guys, they are just so amazing. such an interesting woman. Empress Elizabeth was just a very fascinating woman. She was very eccentric and had her quirks, and she had a very distinct personality, as kind of is what's interpreted in this duology. And yeah, I would love to see a historical show, you know, on some network of some sort, and or a streaming platform, and it could probably run for a good 2 to 3 seasons, quite honestly. That's kind of the running thing for most historical dramas, is about, you know, sometimes 3 to 4 seasons, because if they're telling the life story of somebody, that's kind of how long it usually runs before before they run out of material. And yeah, I love things like the Tudors and the Borgias and, you know, most recently, Victoria. And yeah, I think if you like something like Victoria, this would be something that might kind of be of interest to you, quite honestly. And yeah, it takes place in about the same general era, because even in, is it book 2? I think it's book 2 in this particular series. Yeah, Empress Elizabeth even meets Queen Victoria. I'm always a sucker for a good historical period drama. Yeah, I loved learning about Empress Elizabeth of Austria-Hungary. I had actually never learned about her before until I read this particular duology. So yes, I think maybe a three-part season would be fantastic for this particular duology. Next, one of my all-time favorite books, you guys, and I am just blown away that this has not been adapted yet into a TV series. It's the Bronze Horseman trilogy by Paulina Simons. This trilogy, it's kind of all over the place, because the first book, The Bronze Horseman, primarily takes place during the siege of Leningrad, right at the start of World War II, Germany invading Russia and whatnot. And the story tells this love story between Tatiana, who's Russian, and Alexander, he's actually American, but he's in the Russian army. And yeah, it's this wild and crazy romance and love story between these two characters, who are actually quite different. But they do really click together, and they're not a perfect couple. You know, that's the kind of the thing with this series. They're not a perfect couple. They definitely have their flaws and issues. But oh boy, are they sexy together. They are super sexy. But yeah, that's primarily what book 1 is about. It's about the siege of Leningrad. Book 2 kind of takes place after the war. If I'm not mistaken, that takes place kind of like the year or two after the war. And then book 3 is their life together in America when they immigrate out of Russia. Which, is that a spoiler? I don't know if that's a spoiler, me saying that. I'm trying to be really general here, you guys. But yeah, I'm absolutely blown away that this has not been made into a miniseries, or not a miniseries, but a TV series, because these are giant books. These are huge, huge books, and that's just prime material, I think, for a place like Netflix or Hulu or Amazon or something, you know? You can definitely make 3 whole seasons out of these, and I think if you love something like Outlander, this would definitely float your boat, for sure. The relationship between Tatiana and Alexander, there's this spark and chemistry that's very much like Jamie and Claire from Outlander, if you like that sort of thing. So yes, please, somebody make the Bronze Horseman trilogy. I mean, you're missing out. I mean, just great drama and emotion surging through these books. And at number 1, you guys, I would absolutely love to see a TV series for the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Mayer. Like the Bronze Horseman, I'm kind of blown away that this series of books has not been turned into a TV series either. You guys, oh my god. I'm just really shocked that, you know, a network like the CW or Freeform, because over here in America, the CW and Freeform, they're both networks that are catered to young adult audiences. That's pretty much all they show, is just stuff for young adults. And I'm just really shocked that none of those networks have bought the rights to the Lunar Chronicles, because what the Lunar Chronicles is about, it is sci-fi retellings of classic fairy tales. You got Cinderella in this first book, you have the story of Red Riding Hood, the story of Rapunzel, Snow White, and yeah, it's like fairy tales meets Star Wars. And it's so awesome, so badass, amazing characters. Every character is so amazingly well done, and yeah, the way Marissa Meyer retells these fairy tales, she retells them in very genius, clever ways, and it's kind of like, ah, okay, that's clever. And I love how she retells these stories. So yes, somebody, CW, Freeform, somebody, please do this into a TV series, because I think these would work well as a TV series rather than a movie format, in my opinion. So you guys, that's it for this video. In the comments below, what books, it doesn't have to even be a series, you know, one of the first things I showed here was the Scarlet Letter, you know, that's just one solitary book. So yeah, you don't have to have a massive series here for this question, but yeah, what book or series of books do you think should be made into a TV series, you know, rather than a movie series? Just let me know your thoughts down below. Do you like my choices? Do you hate them? Let's have a conversation with one another. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye, guys.